In today's Leeds news, Rak-Sakyi U-turn, make or break season for Farke, Marseille's Rowe interest, Vober committed and ready to go, and new squad numbers announced. Morning folks, Share here, Friday morning, the 9th of August with your Leeds United news. 1 day to go until we kick off our championship campaign for the 24-25 season. We will have a match day preview tonight with Andrew Stats Dalton. It's our usual short, concise team sheets, injuries from both sides, predictions, statistics around both sides, and history around both of those sides as well. And tomorrow, 45 minutes before kickoff, we will have the countdown to kickoff, a pre-show that we will do before home games this season, possibly away games as well, that will take place 45 minutes before kickoff in every single game this year. So we've got a bit of news to get into, some changes, some rumours, other stuff floating around. We'll start off with the news that came out this morning around Jessurun Rak-Sakyi. Yesterday news came out that appeared to suggest that the move from Jessurun Rak-Sakyi to Sheffield United was all but done and dusted. Now, however, according to Sky Sports News, they suggest that the player and the club may have had a slight change of heart, at least for the moment. According to Sky Sports, Rak-Sakyi was destined for Sheffield United yesterday, but the player has had a U-turn, as has the club. It states that Leeds United and Hull City have both agreed to Crystal Palace's terms for a season-long loan of the player. It basically states that the deal is a season-long loan with a 7-figure loan fee, a full salary coverage, and a recall clause in January should they want the player back, or should the loanee club want to return the player to them. It's an interesting one. It states that Rak-Sakyi could make up his mind on where he wants to go as early as today, but it's very unlikely that he'll push his way into any championship squad tomorrow for the opening day of the season, and would likely get into the squad for the games later on during the week, or even the Carabao Cup games in midweek. It's still very much Sheffield United's player to lose here. It does state that they are very much the front runners in this, but we'll keep an eye on it. There's been a couple of bits of rumours around Jonathan Rowe as well, and we'll get to them in a second. But right now, still very much a kind of a rumour, but there is some detail around the structure of a deal. A year-long loan with a 7-figure loan fee, full salary coverage, and a recall in January. And it does state that Leeds and Hull have met those demands with Crystal Palace. So maybe Leeds are hedging their bets on this as well, but we'll cover that in a sec when we get to Rak-Sakyi. Moving on to Daniel Farke, and it's a make or break season for the German this year, at least according to former Leeds United midfielder Lee Bowyer. Farke has an unusual headache heading into the Portsmouth game tomorrow. A fully fit squad to choose from, something that he says is the first time it has happened in his career. The season ahead brings an entirely new set of pressures to Daniel Farke. Expectation from the fans will be automatic promotion this year after a steady, calm pre-season has facilitated reasonably good transfer activity, with better activity to come in the coming weeks, and should put Leeds in a situation where the fans will expect Leeds to compete at the very top of the league. Former Leeds United midfielder Lee Bowyer was speaking with TalkSport on Farke, and as I said, he believes this is a make or break season for the German, at least due to financial implications should Leeds not make it back to the Premier League. On the topic, he has said the following: I think it'll be tough. I think it'll be harder than last year. Losing Somerville, he was a player that always got them out of trouble last season. He's a massive loss. I just think it's a make or break season for them because they obviously had parachute payments from the season before. So I think it's going to be hard for them. I hope they go up because the Premiership is a better place with Leeds in it. But I just think it's going to be so tough. It's an opposite opinion to what most Leeds United fans would have of the situation. We're all quite positive. Bullish maybe a little bit heading into the Portsmouth game, maybe a little bit overconfident heading in after a decent pre-season compared to previous years, but it remains to be seen how we will get on. Tomorrow will give us a big indication of what we can expect to see from this new look Leeds United side next season. I wouldn't necessarily overly agree with everything Lee Bowyer said there, but I would agree that this is very much a make or break season for Leeds and Daniel Farke. Failure to get out of the division this year would lead to significant player sales next season when the parachute payments get halved again next year. So we'll see how it pans out at the end of May. Moving on to the Jonathan Rowe situation, and while this transfer saga drags on and while it's very, very quiet, somebody was always going to step in and fill the void. Yesterday, a small Norwich Twitter account basically said that they had attended a Q&A with the Norwich sporting director, and the sporting director said the player wasn't leaving Norwich for anything less than £15 million. Now, however, according to The Sun, so take all of the salt that you've got and just pour it on this when it comes to The Sun. The Sun suggests that Marseille are trying to hijack the deal and that they could even have agreed an £8 million bid for Jonathan Rowe in order to hijack the move for the player. Now, it should be said that Marseille are just about to pay £30 million for Eddie Nketiah from Arsenal. Whether they've got an additional 8 to 15 million floating around remains to be seen, but it doesn't add up to the numbers that's suggested by the sporting director. Leeds have already had a £7 million bid for the player rejected, and Sky Sports' Lyle Thomas yesterday said that Leeds and Norwich were in active negotiations around the player and a move to get closer to that fee that Norwich are looking for. The Sun don't have a good track record with anything. Alan Nixon from The Sun still thinks Leeds are signing Sammy Smodux and is doubling down on that. Very much not the case, it appears, at this moment anyway. And now it feels that while it's gone really quiet, somebody was always going to fill some column inches, and that's what the Sun have done here. I could be very wrong on this topic and in this situation, but for me, I don't think £15 million is what Leeds will pay for the player should they get him, or Marseille. And I don't believe necessarily that Marseille are involved in this. I think there could be a bit of leaking of information from Norwich in order to force Leeds into a panic move to try and get more money in. You hope Leeds hold firm, and that's maybe why the Rak-Saki information has come out as well today, that Leeds are looking at a second option and thinking, why pay that for him if we can get Rak-Saki for a year, get into the Premier Division, and then look at a Premier League level winger to use the Chris Somerville money on, which would be smart business if they could get a player of Rak-Saki's level. But we'll have to wait and see with that one. Second last story of today to get onto is the story around Max Wöber yesterday, and there's been a bit of information that's come out since that as well. Yesterday, Daniel Farke was doing his pre-match press conference, and the obvious question of the returns of Brendan Aronson and Max Wöber came up, and what can we can expect from them. The American's return is a less contentious issue due to the circumstances around his exit. No sporting director at Leeds, no manager in place, and massive exit is happening at the time, and no idea what the future of Leeds look like. Where Max Wöber's is a little less clear, having spoken with Daniel Farke last season. Farke said that he spoke with Wöber during the European Championships, and they agreed that the player would come back, give Leeds 3 weeks, and then decide on what they wanted to do moving forward. Farke said it didn't need the 3 weeks. As soon as the club got back from their tour of Germany, there was a knock on the door from Wöber, who said, "Can I speak to you, boss?" And he pretty much said he is committed to playing for Leeds this season. He wants to be here. He believes in the squad and wants to be a part of what Leeds are doing this season. It's taken less than 12 hours for the ITK sites to pick up this story and suggest that Leeds and Max Wöber are both working on an exit strategy for the player back to Germany and away from Leeds United this summer. No one knows for sure what the future of Max Wöber holds, but keeping Wöber from a purely footballing perspective for me would be a very strong addition to the Leeds squad from last season's squad. Farke said that the player has kept his head down in the dressing room since his return as he navigates the new dressing room and tries to find his place within it once again. By putting this information in the media, Daniel Farke has absolutely put all of the pressure on the player's shoulders. Should Wöber decide to force a move away from Leeds and move on before the deadline, Daniel Farke can simply say to the press, "Well, the player lied to me and I took the player at his word." Should Max Wöber decide to stay and commit to Leeds beyond the end of the window, then that goes a long way to repairing a lot of the trust that was broken this time last year when the player moved out to Gladbach on loan. The proof of the pudding, as they say, blah blah blah, we all know the saying. We'll have to wait and see. Ultimately, we've got 3.5 weeks left of the transfer window. We won't know what that looks like until then. We'll get a good indication tomorrow. Aronson and Wöber are both said to be slightly behind everybody else by a couple of weeks, so they're not expecting to push their way, but you would likely see Aronson and Wöber start in the cup game in midweek to get those minutes that they need in to push on. And then finally today, Leeds United finally announced their new squad numbers for the new season, and there's some significant change in this and some surprising announcements as well. Just on the changes that we've seen so far, Jayden Bogle has been confirmed as taking Luke Ayling's old number 2 shirt. Pascal Struijk will pick up the number 5 shirt vacated by Charlie Creswell. Joe Rodon has moved from the number 14 shirt to taking up Liam Cooper's old number 6 shirt. Daniel James moves from the 20 to number 7 as he takes Joe Pirro's number 7 shirt from last season. Joe Rothwell picks up the number 8 shirt vacated by Glenn Kamara after his exit. Joel Pirro has taken the vacant number 10 shirt left by Crescencio Somerville, and is an interesting one given the bit of friction between both those players last season and the possibility of a Nanto or a Jorginho picking up that number 10 shirt. Pirro is backing himself next season, and Mateo Joseph will take the number 19 shirt with a significant change on his shirt and the name on the back of the shirt being Mateo Joseph and not just Joseph. So there's some changes there. You can see them on the screen. The full list is there. Meslier 1, Bogle 2, Firpo 3, Ampadu 4, Stroke 5, Rodon 6, James 7, Rothwell 8, Bamford 9, Pirro 10, Aronson 11, Joseph 19, Cairns 21, Jorginho 24, Byram 25, Darlow 26, Nanto 29, Gelhardt 30, De Bayo 37, Fober 39, Chambers 42, Gruev 44, and Charlie Crew in number 50. There are some under 21 players outside of that will have a number as well that we've seen. Luca Thomas, I think 47, and we've seen Harry Gray with 55 as well. So numbers outside of that list, but right now that's your squad numbers confirmed for the start of the season. We're nearly there, folks. We are nearly there. We've got the match preview tonight again with stats. You can check that out at about 6 o'clock, 6:30 tonight. Keep an eye out. We're going to do it a bit earlier tonight because I am on with Dan and the guys at Not Another Leeds podcast at 7:30. And then we've got Countdown to kick off. The new show kicks off tomorrow, 45 minutes before kick-off. You can keep an eye out for the preview poster of that will go up on the channel today. Folks, massive thanks as always for supporting the channel. We're nearly there. Let's go. Talk to you later. See ya. Bye.